know we probably have only a few minutes, so I do want to discuss what does Allah have to say about this? Okay, putting the seerah aside, if no one, what does the Quran have to say? What does Allah, at the end of the day, what does Allah have to say about killing of innocent people? You know, there are certain concepts in Islam which are universal. And what I mean by universal is that they're not just specific to our ummah and our nation. They've been consistent throughout all the time, throughout all the prophets. They've all preached this. Like Tawheed, oneness of God. That's not something unique or specific to us. You know, all the prophets have preached this. You know, respecting one's parents. Again, that's not something unique to us. You know, like Allah says, we took a covenant from Banu Israel, the children of Israel, that they worship no one but Allah and that they're good, they're kind, they're excellent to their parents. You know, so this remains consistent. It's not nothing new. Another thing that remains consistent throughout all the teachings of all the prophets of all times is what Allah says, and I'll just paraphrase it really quickly in Surah Ma'idah. What surah number is that?
5.
Thank you. Just one person. Okay. Surah 5, verse 32. Allah specifically directly talks about this. He opens up the surah with this idea of how do we act towards non-Muslims and everyone. Okay, everyone. He says that whosoever kills an innocent soul, بِغَيْرِ نَفْسٍ, which basically amounts to someone who is innocent, who hasn't done anything wrong, who hasn't killed anyone, who hasn't, he's not on a death penalty, an innocent soul. Whoever kills an innocent soul or causes chaos in the earth, disturbs someone's life, disturbs someone's peace and tranquility, harming someone's peace of mind. So someone who kills an innocent soul or causes chaos in the earth, disturbs people's privacy and their peace of mind, the crime that person has committed is tantamount to killing every single soul on the face of this earth. Think of what a horrible, sinful person that would be. Who would kill every single soul on the face of this earth? What his sin would amount to, What a criminal he would be in the eyes of Allah, right? Well, Allah is saying, if you kill just one innocent person, or cause chaos in someone's life, disturb their peace, you are no different than someone who's killed every single person on the face of this earth. And on the contrary, Allah continues on this ayah. He says, whosoever arranges for, works for, or invests him or herself into the protection, of one person, it is as if they've ensured they get the reward as if they've saved every single person on this face of this earth. That's the reward he'll be given, right? So that's what Allah has to say. This is what the Quran is saying. So a couple of things, final messages need to be sent out. First, to any Muslim who tries to tries to do things like that you see horrible things that you've seen, and try to harm people, do these horrible things in the name of Islam. They need to understand that this is what the Quran is saying. This is what Allah is saying. What you have figured out, that's between you and Allah. You'll have to answer before Him. But understand that everything that you're saying, everything that you're doing, contradicts the Quran, contradicts the life of the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Realize that. And the second thing, to anyone who those Islamophobes or whatever you want to call them, who are coming after, good, innocent, hard-working Muslims, contributing members of society, you're coming after them, you're demonizing them, you're making their life difficult, then you need to understand that we are presenting to you Islam's most sacred source. And we're telling you this is what it has to say on the subject and topic. So for all of us here, we need to inform ourselves, educate ourselves. We need to read something, right? Before we open up our mouth on this subject and topic. And the final thing I'll share with you is especially directly to your college students. We can complain all we want about the misrepresentation of Islam by a few fanatics, or being attacked on the news and media and online. But we can only defend ourselves if we actually know what we're talking about. That ayah that I just quoted, I'm not going to take a survey because my intention is not to embarrass anyone. But I'm just saying, every single person in this room, do you know what surah number that is? What ayah number that is? What the translation of it is? What the linguistic breakdown of it is? If I don't know what that is, if I haven't taken out 10, 15, 20 minutes of my life to study what Allah has said on this, then I'm part of the problem. I'm not representing Islam properly. I'm not showing people who Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was, what a mercy he was, what a compassionate human being he was. You know, there's a time during the life of the Prophet, during the time of Makkah, there's a man by the name of Tufail. Tufail from the tribe of those. He came to the Prophet, and it's very interesting how he accepted Islam. He came to the Prophet, he accepted Islam, and the Prophet told him to go back to his people and to preach it to them, to teach them about Islam and the way of life. So he went to them, and the Sahaba say that he came back a little shortly later, and very disgruntled, very frustrated. He said, I told them about Islam, they're not listening, they're not paying attention. Make dua that Allah destroys his people. So Sahaba say that we saw the Prophet ﷺ raise his hands in dua. And we're like, oh my God, that is it. Those is going to be wiped completely off the face of this earth. That tribe is done. So he raised his hands, and you know what came out of his mouth? He said, Allahumma mahdi al-dos. Ya Allah, guide the people of those. Bless them with hidayah. And then he said to Tufail, now you go back to your people, and you be kind, you be patient, be generous, empathize with them, and do your job. And so he went back, and the Sahaba say that he came back almost 20 years later when they were in Medina. Imagine seeing someone after 20 years, what that would be like. Like a flashback, right? Like, whoa, you know? So they say that he came back after 20 years, and we're like, oh, that's Tufail from the tribe of those. Man, where have you been? So they say that he came, and he had the entire tribe of those behind him. And he said, my entire tribe has come to accept Islam. Right? My entire tribe. This is the compassion, the love that he had for humanity, for everyone. His heart bled for people. Even during the battles, there were battles during the lifetime of the Prophet. You know, just like there's a war going on right now, right? There's not anything. It's the reality of life. You know, we shouldn't hold people to standards that we can't live by. Yeah, there were wars and battles in the lifetime of the Prophet, just like there's wars going on right now. So during one of the battles, the Battle of Hunain, as it's called, the Muslims were going against the army of Hawazin and Thaqif. And the army of Hawazin and Thaqif, they were expert archers. So what they did was they positioned themselves. So when the Muslims came closer, they just shot wave of arrows at the Muslims. And after a while, the Muslims couldn't get any closer. And they became really frustrated. And then they went to the Prophet ﷺ, and they said, as is recorded in Bukhari, they said, the arrows of Thaqif, they're burning holes in us, meaning they're killing us. We can't take it anymore. Make dua that Allah destroys them. Once again, the Prophet raised his hand. There's a battle going on, right? He raised his hands, and when he opened his mouth, you know what he said? Allahumma mahdi Thaqif. Oh Allah, guide the people of Thaqif with guidance. Bless them with hidayah. He made dua for people. In battle, there's a battle going on. He's making dua for the enemy. Right? Not that Allah destroys them, not that Allah kills them. And then he said, and I'll conclude with this, that I have not been sent to make dua against people. I have not been sent to hurt people or harm people. I've simply been sent as a mercy to mankind. Okay? So this is what Islam teaches us. This is what the Quran says. This is what the life of the messenger demonstrates. It's very important, like I said, that we learn this, that we implement it in our lives, and we advocate it to others. But it starts with us. So, may Allah give us the ability to practice everything that's been heard and said. I think I went over time, so apologize about that. وجزاكم الله خيرا. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.